Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Sinead Ahern. Today's top stories: a man in his 40s has been stabbed to death in Carrick-on-Shore. The number of people being tested for the coronavirus should double this week. A Waterford manufacturer says more personal protective equipment could be made in Irish factories. And in sport, FIFA will confirm an indefinite extension to the 2019-2020 season. A man remains in Garda custody after another man was killed in Carrick-on-Shore. The man in his 40s was stabbed in an apartment complex late on Saturday night. He passed away this morning at University Hospital Waterford, and a post-mortem examination is due to take place today. Tipperary TD Matty McGrath says it's especially tragic at this time.
At this, at any time outside of the coronavirus is, a shocking incident to happen in any community. And Carrick-on-Shore is a wonderful, small, tight-knit community who are doing their best and are coping quite well with the situation. And to think, this to happen, and I know somebody's been arrested, we don't know the circumstances, but, the community are in shock.
The HSE says the number of people being tested for COVID-19 should double this week. There are now more than 200 clusters of the infection nationwide, as Stephanie Rowan reports.
There have been almost 5,000 confirmed cases of the coronavirus here, and 158 people have lost their lives. Figures show people over the age of 65 are contracting COVID-19 the most. However, 11 babies have had the infection, 13 people aged between 1 and 4 and 35 people aged between 5 and 14. There are now 236 clusters nationwide. 57 of these are nursing homes. 165 patients have been admitted to the ICU. Dublin still has the highest infection rate per 100,000, followed by Westmeath and Cavan. There has been criticism of the low number of people being tested, but the HSE says this should double this week to 4,500 per day. Cillian de Gascoigne from the National Virus Reference Laboratory says it may be premature to lift restrictions until our testing improves.
The next 7 to 10 days will see a significant increase in testing capacity across the country. And certainly I'm very hopeful for that, because I think it's the one missing piece of information at the community level that we talked about earlier that we really need to get as quickly as possible to fully inform our picture.
Medical experts have said this is the critical week to see if we can contain the virus.
A Waterford TD says the number of ICU beds at University Hospital Waterford will be increasing by almost 500%. Health authorities are scaling up their emergency bed capacity in hospitals across the country. As of Friday, 165 people were admitted to intensive care units nationally. Sinn Féin's David Culnan says UHW is preparing for increased demand.
My understanding is that we will go from having 6 ICU beds to 35 ICU beds, and hopefully that will be enough to be able to treat the volume of patients, which is likely to increase over the next few weeks as we hit the peak of people who will contract the virus.
He says a lot of work's ongoing to free up resources.
We know that a number of cancer wards and other wards have been transferred over to Whitfield Clinic. Other specialties have been scaled back as much as possible, and the focus is obviously on treating as many of the COVID-19 patients as present as best they can and as quickly as they can. Beds are being freed up. 150 beds will be available this week that were not available last week. A lot of effort and a lot of work is being put in, not just by the management but also by the frontline staff.
People are being reminded that the Waterford Community Response Helpline is open 7 days a week. The free phone number is 1800 250 185 and is available 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tracy McEnany, Executive Librarian at Waterford Libraries, says the helpline is there if you need help with deliveries of groceries, medicine and fuel.
This is a confidential service. It includes over a dozen agencies and is set up to help everyone across Waterford City and County who needs a little bit of help at this time. For medical queries, please ring the HSE, but for non-medical queries, contact the helpline, which is again 1800 250 185, or email covidsupport@waterfordcouncil.ie.
A Waterford manufacturer says more personal protective equipment could be made in Irish factories if the government published guidelines on what to make. John Malloy runs the Azuri clothing firm in Waterford that started producing thousands of non-medical face masks. 30 workers at the plant have volunteered their time for the production effort, turning out 6,000 reusable masks last week. He says far more could be done by domestic industry and even people at home.
Once they're working with the right guidance on materials, anybody can be made at home. So it's a key critical element is the guidance on maybe design, guidance on the materials that are being used, and that's it. And after that, it's once you have the right sewing machines and the right materials, we can get assistance from homes, or we can get assistance from other factories.
The Taoiseach believes some parties may be surprised at what Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil plan to pitch to them. The two parties are meeting again today to discuss government formation, as Casey O'Riordan reports.
Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil are working on a framework document which will map out their idea for a functioning government. Labour, the Green Party and the Social Democrats have all previously said they're not interested in working with Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil. Taoiseach Simon Coveney told South East Radio that he's hopeful they'll reconsider once they make their pitch.
I think might surprise a few people in terms of how open it is to quite fundamental change in a number of areas. I hope that perhaps some of those parties may change their mind and engage.
The Taoiseach says the document outlines more than just a response to COVID-19.
Not only COVID-19 and this emergency and the aftermath, but also responds to the demands for change that the electorate made during the recent election.
Discussions will continue today as Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil work to finalise the document before presenting it to the other parties and independents for consideration.
Gardaí in Waterford City have arrested 4 men and seized drugs at a number of properties. Officers also seized 4 vehicles from drivers this weekend. WLR's Emer McKeown has more.
5 houses were searched over the weekend by the Waterford Garda Divisional Drugs Unit. €980 worth of heroin was discovered at an address in St Cartage's Avenue, while €600 worth of cocaine was found at Newport Terrace. 2 houses in Templars Hall were searched and €350 worth of cocaine, €800 worth of cannabis herb and €385 worth of cocaine were seized. Small amounts of cocaine and cannabis herb were found at Mount Sion Avenue. Gardaí say none of these incidents were related. The 4 men have been released and a file has been sent to the DPP. Officers are asking people to report any suspicious activity in their areas to their local Garda station. Meanwhile, Gardaí in Waterford City seized 4 vehicles from drivers this weekend who were driving without insurance. 2 of the drivers had outstanding warrants against them.
Gardaí in Waterford are again appealing for information on a robbery which took place at a shop on the Cork Road on Saturday evening. A man carrying a knife entered Walsh's Daybreak at around 5:10 and ordered staff to open the tills. He then took the contents of the tills and fled in the direction of Ballybeg Drive. No one was injured in the incident. Gardaí are asking witnesses to come forward and are appealing to motorists who were in the area at the time and may have dashcam footage to contact them on 051 305 300. A restaurant owner in Waterford is continuing to sell freshly baked bread after he closed last month due to the coronavirus. Peter Everett is the head chef of Everett's restaurant in High Street in the city, and he says they're allowing just 1 customer in at a time. They're opening 12 to 5 every day, Monday to Saturday.
I'm just doing kind of a simple offering. It's kind of a baguette and our brown bread that we do here. So I'm just trying to sell the 2 of those. They're the ones we serve in the restaurant and people seem to like them and they're going down well. There's a lot of people coming back. I'm seeing the same face kind of come back a lot, which is always a good sign. And there's 1 person in the shop at a time.
WLR Sport, Ireland's local station of the year.
Starting with soccer, where FIFA will confirm an indefinite extension to the 2019-2020 season across the globe, according to The Athletic. World Football's governing body will reveal plans in the next 48 hours, with the game in limbo around the world due to the coronavirus pandemic. They will also allow each country's football authority to determine when campaigns can finish. The report adds that FIFA will also alter the dates of the summer transfer window and permit contract extensions for players whose deals run out on June 30th. Meanwhile, UEFA President Alexander Ceferin has warned the Champions League and Europa League could be abandoned if coronavirus restrictions remain in place heading into September. The preferred option will be to play the fixtures behind closed doors. In Gaelic games, Wexford hurler Lee Chin admits it could be a nervy summer if the GAA decide to do away with the round-robin championship format this year. All matches and training remain suspended due to the COVID-19 outbreak. The GAA is still hoping to complete its All-Ireland Senior Hurling and Football Championships by the scheduled final dates of August 16th and August 30th respectively. It looks all the more likely they'll revert to a straight knockout format, which Chin knows will leave no room for error.
There's a lot of nerves, I suppose, and a lot of on-the-line stuff, I suppose, if it comes into knockout championship. You know, it could be all over in 70 minutes, and you know, a round robin, I suppose, gives you the chance to, even if you do have a setback in one of the games or so be it, you have another chance.
And in golf, it looks like this year's PGA Championship will go ahead at Harding Park in San Francisco. The organisers are now looking to reschedule the tournament for August, according to reports in the US. It was originally due to take place in May, but was postponed last month because of the coronavirus. WLR asking you to stay at home. Our next bulletin is at